I was just gonna stay there, do homework, and go to the girls'
Starts
game.
getting rambunctious.
Okay.
So move on. Man, yeah, there's a guy that runs with a yellow lab or something like that. I mean, that dog's perfect. He's out. He's dedicated. Yeah, that's dedication right there. I'm not that dedicated.
Okay, it's 5 o'clock. I would like to call this January 11th, 2022 Planning Commission meeting to order. I would ask if you have any cell phones or any other devices, please turn them off or down low so it doesn't disturb the meeting. Anyone wishing to address the board, please come to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. Before we get started, I would like to welcome new members, Tyler Graves and Councilman Matt Grecu. Thank you for coming. Glad to have you aboard.
Thank you. Thank you.
First thing on the agenda is approval of minutes. We do this in one motion. Since there's 2 minutes, do I need to?
2 minutes? Yeah, that's fine. We'll just call for vote.
Okay, I need approval of minutes for the special meeting on December 7th and the regular scheduled meeting on December 14th.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any questions or comments on the minutes? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of approving both minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The minutes are approved. Director Sheehan.
Next item on the agenda is election of officers for the calendar year of 2022. TJ, did you want to do this, or did you want me to?
Go ahead, Mr. Sheehan.
Oh, thank you. I'll open the floor for nominations for president for the calendar year 2022.
I'd like to nominate Mike Besser for president of the Planning City Commission.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any other nominations? We need a motion to close nominations, please.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Well, all in favor of Mr. Besser, sign aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Mr. Besser. You're up next.
Next on the agenda, next position is vice president. I now open the floor for nominations for vice president.
I'd like to nominate Misha Jefferson for vice president.
Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Is there any other nominations? I now declare nominations closed. I now will take a vote for all in favor of Misha. Please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Congratulations, Mr. Now we open the elections for secretary.
I'd like to nominate Craig Sheeline as secretary.
Second.
Are there any other nominations for secretary? Hearing none, I declare nominations closed. All in favor of Mr. Sheeline for secretary, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? You're here again, Greg.
All right.
Okay.
Before we get into the agenda, I would like to publicly thank Chuck Graves, Tyler's father. Chuck was with us for a fairly short time. He did take a position on another board in the city, and he didn't have time to do both, so I just wanted to thank Chuck for, I think he was here for a little over a year, his service, and he'll be greatly missed. So just wanted to say thank you to Chuck publicly. So first item on the agenda tonight is case PO1-Z-22, the petition of Fortune Companies, Inc. requesting the Kokomo City Plan Commission petition to recommend the Kokomo Common Council for change in zone classification from R4 medium density urban residential to C1 small to medium scale general commercial, and this is at 2000 South Washington Street.
Is there someone here to present this case? Please come forward.
Hello, can you hear me all right? Name's DJ Butcher, 329 North Main Street, Kokomo, Indiana.
Before you go any farther.
Yeah.
I need a motion, please.
I'll move to approve.
Motion.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you, sir. Please go ahead.
Yeah, we are wanting to change the zoning for the lot located at 2000 South Washington from R4 to C1. Our project is to develop a restaurant on this lot. We believe this will create an asset to the neighborhood as well as an asset to IUK. Not only will we be infilling a vacant lot, but we'll also be creating a tax base with the community. And if it's okay with you folks, we'd like to bring up one of the owners to talk about their business. That's okay.
Please do.
Hello, how are you guys doing? Good. My name's Anthony Walker, 4106 Cartwright Drive, Kokomo, Indiana. So we started, this is my first time, so my apologies, a little new here, but we started Good Eats Eatery because we're looking around at other concepts such as McDonald's and all these other concepts that are out there, fast food. We didn't really believe in their brand and their value. So me and my partner, and there's another partner as well that's at work currently, that started Good Eats Eatery, which is like a fresh, focused on like education and really giving back to like the community. So what we want to hire is more of like high schoolers or college that has a goal in like restaurant management, or like me, when I started out at McDonald's, it was a goal of like kind of learning like skill sets. And I feel like restaurants have kind of veered away from that. And it's just, you go to anywhere and it's kind of just crazy mayhem. So that's why we started Good Eats Eatery, is to kind of change that culture and kind of get it back to where we think it should be, if that makes any sense. So,
Any questions from the board before we have staff report? Director Sheila.
Yes, staff report for case PO 1-Z-22. Fortune Companies, Inc., on behalf of Main Street Investors LLC, are requesting to change the zone classification for the property listed above to be used as a restaurant slash eatery. The adjoining property uses and zonings are: to the north, R4 urban residential; to the south, C2 medium to large scale general commercial; to the R4 urban residential and C2 medium to large scale general commercial; and to the west, R4 urban residential. The next sentence, I did proofread this, but obviously not very well, because if you look at the first sentence, it's talking about East Walnut Street. This is actually on South Washington, so I apologize for the oversight. According to the City of Kokomo Comprehensive Planned Use Map, this area of South Washington Street is classified as being an area for medium-density residential, which is single-family housing of varying types between 3 to 6 dwelling units per acre. Typical median housing, density housing would include single-family detached duplexes, triplexes, condominiums, townhomes, and cluster housing. For the City of Kokomo zoning ordinance, R5 urban residential is an appropriate adjacent district within this area. Land use goals to encourage orderly and responsible development to promote health, safety, and quality of life of residents in the City of Kokomo while maintaining Kokomo as a leading community for affordable housing. Relevant land use objectives are to encourage adequate land for residential, commercial, industrial, institutional, and recreational uses. Designate specific districts in the community suitable for residential, commercial, industrial, institutional, and recreational uses. The goal of the City of Kokomo Comprehensive Plan Transportation Map is to enhance connections throughout the city for improved safety, function, and efficiency for all modes of transportation, including vehicular, bicycle, and pedestrian networks. According to the transportation map, this area of South Washington is defined as a major collector, which is a street designed to facilitate the collection of traffic from local streets. In addition, it provides circulation within neighborhood areas and convenient ways to reach arterial streets. The traffic count for this area is listed as being 8,745 cars per day. This is at the corner of South Washington and West Boulevard. The requested zoning change is compatible with all the existing adjoining districts. Therefore, the staff desires that the board forward a favorable recommendation to the Kokomo Common Council.
Any questions from the board now that we've had the staff report? Any questions from the audience?
Patricia Satong, 1924 South Washington. I am the one who's right next to this. I have some very grave concerns over this. First one is my only access to Washington Street is the alley that goes right by the convenience store. Right now, if a new business goes in there, we won't even be able to get out of our homes. And there are several people along there who our only exit is through the alley. We do not have any other exits out to the street. And if you're thinking about the other exits off of that our alley. The Buckeye Street exit is a blind corner, and it has a bunch of holes in it. The Hoffer Street is a block and a half down the other way. It also has to deal with holes and trucks in the middle of it. So basically, my only way out of my home is through that Washington Street exit. My second concern has to do with my utilities. The gas company has moved their lines twice since I've owned my home. And every time they move them farther south. This last time, it's not even on my property. It will present a grave hazard if this goes in. So what I am requesting of you is that I have an option to purchase that much, say, 10 feet, 15 feet. Let's make it 15 feet from the last place they put that gas line in. 15 feet farther south to give me some protection for my utilities. That would be, just put a stake in there, run it straight down to the sidewalk, and I would purchase that land. And that way my utilities would be safe. And I hope you would consider that for me.
Who are you purchasing that land off of, ma'am?
Well, whoever's owning it,
Okay, well, this board really has no say over, I mean.
but isn't a safety issue something that you can redress?
Well, the utility companies usually have easements within that area, and you can't build any improved structure upon that easement. So if they choose to relocate them within that easement, that is, the utility realistically owns that portion of the property, or the
Well-
right of way. So,
Well, they own,
so no owner could build upon the easement, because then it couldn't be accessed by the utility company.
I'm not worried about that part. I'm worried about where it comes up to my house. You're talking down by the alley. I'm talking, it's actually running through part of what you're buying.
Are you talking about the connection to your home, or the portion that's
The
underground?
line, the whole line.
The whole line that's underground?
Yeah.
It would be part of an easement.
Okay, so that means that what? They can't,
They can't build upon it.
Build
They can-
upon it. Okay,
basically,
all
they
right,
can-
I just-
They can plant a tree, but then the utility company can take the tree out, or they can build a fence, but the utility company can take that out and replace it, because they have an easement within that area, so.
Okay, but I
any
feel more
infrastructure such as water, gas, power, anything that's underground, the utility companies have an easement on the area, and you can't build upon those.
okay, but,
Does that, I don't know if that answers your question or not.
because I still think they're gonna think they own it.
Well, the utility company owns it, I can tell you that.
Okay.
If there is a utility easement through that property, we wouldn't let them build over that. We
All
can't.
right, okay, all
If there
right.
is a utility easement there. I
Oh,
assume
it's
is.
there. Don't,
Well, I'm not saying the utilities aren't there, I'm saying I need to make sure a utility easement is there. There's a
well,
difference.
I don't know. That's
Well,
why I'm
what
asking
we're
you.
We'll find that out for you.
That also
There's
comes
another
into
set
play
of-
with site plan,
Yes.
Right.
Okay,
They'll have to come back with another set of plans that would show all the utilities and things of that nature, so that we
Okay.
can take a lot of that
I
into
just,
account.
I don't want somebody going in there and hitting that thing and blowing us all to kingdom come.
Sure.
sure,
All right,
that's fair.
okay. My third concern, and you'll need to know this, is that the convenience store has, besides commandeering the alley, they use it night and day. They have started parking trucks and cars and all kinds of stuff across the way from the alley. So they think they practically own that. And if this is part of what he wants to be building on, that's going to present a problem. Plus, that's where they dump all their snow and everything else. And I do have another question. This is an alley that serves our residents. And I don't think there's another alley in Kokomo that has, commercial stuff on both sides of it. Anyway, I'm asking you to consider these concerns, and thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the audience?
Hi, I'm Stacy Gallner. I'm at 1908 South Washington. I have a few concerns. Right now, as she said, most residents down that alley, the only parking is in back. I am fortunate that I do have a front alley, or a front drive, but backing out on Washington Street, you can only imagine how long that takes. So my concern is when the current convenience store was built, we have a travel trailer, or had a travel trailer, and our concern was being able to get out. We, of course, could not do that sharp turn onto Buckeye, so we had to go out to Washington Street and down. When the convenience store was getting approved, that was our concern, is the alley going to stay open so that we can get our travel trailer out? That has been open, accessible to us. Now, we do have to wait sometimes because there's a lot of traffic with the convenience store currently. My concern now is we have a fifth wheel that we are trying to go down the alley and back out to Washington. If there's two businesses, and I know she said as well, they're using that as a parking lot currently. But if there's two businesses, I'm not sure we're going to be able to get out. Or if that alley was blocked off, we, of course, could not get out. We could not make the turn to the left to go on to Hoffer with that. My concern right now is also once the convenience store came and opened, it is we're beside a resident that has a fence, a wooden fence, and you cannot see, it's a blind spot. With the convenience store customers, they fly down that alley. So we have to just kind of ease out just little by little because it would just be horrible. So that's what we're doing currently. Plus, since the convenience store has went in, there is so much trash. I'm constantly picking up in our backyard, as well as I find myself going down the alley, just so it's presentable. Within this last week, we had one of the banners that they hang up as advertisement out by our camper in our drive. It's not just convenience store, trash, it's people, but it's the frequency that the alley is being used now that is creating a lot of damage to there. But my concern is someone wrecking and just plowing into us. And being able to have access to get our camper out to enjoy the weekend after a busy week. So I'd like you to keep that in mind if you would. Thank you.
Ma'am, if you want to come up here, I'm going to give you one of my cards. The trash from the convenience store really isn't a part of what we're hearing tonight, but give me a call. And, if it gets to be trashy or, I have no problem calling them and telling them to get it cleaned up.
Okay.
I have no problem with
Thank
that.
you very much.
So call my office and we'll certainly try to stay on top of that for you. Okay?
appreciate that.
You're very welcome.
Any other comments from the audience?
So do I have to state my address again?
you're good.
Okay, good. So I'm gonna address you guys, right, with the trash thing. I think it goes more of respect, right? So I can guarantee, so you have my word when it comes to trash, right? I'm one of those guys too, when even cigarette butts and things like that, no one wants to go to a store or to a place that we're supposed to be a family restaurant, right? Not just schools but family, right? And that's why we wanted to build our location in Kokomo, is to build like a sense of community. So you have my word that we'll clean it. We'll keep it clean. So
Who are your customers?
you're my guest, not my customers. You're my guest.
I'm talking about your customers.
Yeah.
The customers that drive through our alley
Yeah.
and just throw things out.
Yeah, and we have a responsibility too. So as a convenience store, just like what he was saying, to clean it up. So you don't have to call. I'll say if you don't have to call him. You can call us, and we'll get it clean. But we'll also make sure that we're doing our part to keep the community clean, because that's our goal here, right? Is to build community, right? To support you guys. So if it's dirty, which you have Alvin, you have Lane Ryder, who's also part of this company. You have our word that we'll make sure to get that stuff clean. Okay.
And I do appreciate that.
Yeah.
But trash gets blown.
It does, yeah.
The wind, like it
Yep,
does
and that's where if you're keeping it clean and you're doing your audits, your employees that you have are respectful, your managers, your owners are respectful for the things that are around them. Those are things that, yes, they do happen, but if we're doing our part to make sure that we're, going around and actually having like those talks with you guys, and again, doing our due diligence, that can be avoided or minimal, like be very minimal to that, okay? So I just want to add that. My apologies for that. So, but okay, I'm good.
Thank you for your comment.
And I would prefer you call him too.
You blow my
But
phone.
if that doesn't work, feel free to give me a call, okay?
Any other questions from the audience?
Real quick, we have no intention of using the alley for this as well.
That's what the convenience store is.
Well, we're not the convenience store, but I hear you. I hear you.
Well, like I said, we'll do our part when it comes to like the cars, the way that it's designed. That was one of the things that, to be honest, I don't know if I'm supposed to stand or
You
anything.
should probably.
Yeah,
speak
you need to stand
to
up.
the microphone.
Sorry, but one of the things that we were talking about as owners and as developers, we're talking about that same thing. So we, if you look at it, made it to where the traffic is not coming. Now I can't obviously control what people do. Like even me driving past there, even if it wasn't a restaurant there, I can't control that. But when like the way that the drive-through is going around it, and then there's also like we have a fence so that when it's when the people, our guests are coming through the drive-through, it's kind of separated. So we're not using the alleyway. So you guys are still able to do everything that you normally do, and just know that we're taken care of.
We're next door to you.
Yeah,
That means that all the lights
Mhm.
and all that stuff
yeah,
is coming in my.
absolutely. Yeah, I understand.
Would it be a 24-hour?
No, nope. So that's the thing. Again, going into the family or into stuff. I mean, we don't plan to be open till midnight. We don't plan on having loud music blaring. We don't plan on serving alcohol. We don't plan on doing any of that. Again, we can't necessarily control, as people are passing you guys the music, but we can definitely do our part to make sure that that is not going on. Okay.
Any questions from the board?
But before you call for,
I'm not,
okay, go ahead, I'm sorry.
for all your homeowners, I know this, especially haven't been through it before. This board tonight is just all we're doing tonight is changing the zoning on this property, okay? Now, if this goes through, don't know it's gonna, it leaves here and it goes to city council. City council has to approve that they want to change the zoning. Then once that happens, whoever wants to build or what they want to put there, they have to bring everything up to the planning commission, and that these gentlemen have rules, regulations, and everything else that they have to go through. And they step through and they go through step by step. Where your easements are at, where the utility easements are at, how wide the alley is, excuse me, and those sorts of things. So they will be addressed. I know it's confusing, but this board tonight is looking at the zoning of the property only.
And there'll be another public hearing for the site plan approval before this board.
Oh, we've been through this before, and you just eventually give up.
Well, I'm sorry you feel that way. We work hard to try to put the right developments in, and if it follows the ordinance, sometimes we don't have a lot to say about it either. TJ, I wanted to remind you that we received a letter from Mr. Coulter and his wife who live at, on Buckeye Street, I forget the address. And they're, 2003 South Buckeye, and they are against this as well. Do I need to read this whole thing into the, or can we just add it to the minutes and?
I think, well, just for the board, before the vote, I suppose either read it or pass it along so that,
Okay,
that all the members can see it.
I prefer just to pass it along if that's
fine.
okay with you.
Absolutely,
So,
just
yeah,
so that they're informed.
this is for Mr. Coulter.
Mr.
and- Yes, go ahead.
Mr. Coulter's property comes, if you turn off of Washington onto the alley, you go straight up that alley into Mr. Coulter's driveway. That's where he's located. So,
So I'm gonna start with Kelly and Kathy.
I do have one question while we're let people, has it been a problem where the convenience store has had trucks where they actually, do you have access
Let's take it together.
when they're getting deliveries? Do they block your ability?
This is saying everything happens, there's the complaints.
Thank you. I need to wait for everybody to have a look at that, right?
The delivery trucks are in the alley, the north-south alley. The east-west alley was vacated.
The Washington Street
Access? Okay.
access, yes.
According to county records, that's been vacated, so it's no longer a public alley, the one that goes east-west. So the north-south alley is a public alleyway.
Correct.
But the one that goes, that would be between the convenience store and the new development is now private property.
That isn't what they told us.
Main Street Investors LLC owns it all, I think. Well, Jasmine Petroleum owns the one.
That was one of the very, very, very big sticky points
Yes.
when the convenience store come in, that alley access was there. I remember
In
that
county-
vividly.
I'm just looking at the county
Okay.
website, so.
They lied to us then. They lied to us.
And you're right, that's a very, very long alley you guys live on.
Oh, yeah.
Extremely long.
We're talking about the small alley between the two
Right, but I'm
properties.
talking how they get
Yeah,
in and out.
I'm
That's
just
a
saying,
long alley.
Going up and down
Yeah,
But
that's a
the
from Hoffer and then out to Buckeye, I think. 'cause
The
it-
east-west
It
alley.
doesn't go all the way to
The
Boulevard.
short alley
No,
is the
you
one
gotta
that's been
turn.
vacated.
You couldn't, I don't think you could turn a truck to go to Buckeye,
Probably not.
so.
I used to live on that alley. Yeah, but I lived on Buckeye.
Yeah, I suspect we pick up trash in the alley, right? Or do we pick it up out on the street?
Oh, you pick it up everywhere.
And I lived
No,
on.
no,
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 you're
city.
talking about
The
city
totes,
trash
the
cans.
totes.
Trash?
Yes.
Our
Totes.
trash, yeah.
It was like
Yeah,
right in the
actually,
middle
they
of
come
where the
up-
convenience
It's
store
in the
was.
alley?
That alley that supposedly doesn't belong to us, by the way, to get our trash. But we were told that that alley was supposed to be city, not private.
Ma'am, I think we're confused on the north, south, east, west, because they couldn't pick up your
We're
trash
talking-
from the east-west alleyway.
No, they're talking about being able to go out, come down the alley.
I'm talking
There
about
is
If
the
you-
South
Goes
Washington
to the
Street.
main street.
If
That's
they-
the one they're saying they use to get
Using that to access the other alley.
Yeah, they
which
couldn't
is the same as this property owner, but they're,
to go on to Washington.
okay, it's gonna decide not to work.
Has everyone had a chance to read the letter? Okay.
Any other comments from the audience? Any questions from the board members?
It would be nice to see those.
If hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of case P01Z22, please signify by saying aye. All opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Was there any yes votes?
No, we're not.
No.
So we do not need to call roll then, correct?
Well, just
So
in
should I-
case somebody
should I? Okay, I
abstained,
can
I
do
would
that.
do that.
All right. Okay, this is a yes or no vote. Ms. Barker?
No.
Ms. Durham?
No.
Ms. Stover?
No.
Mr. Graves?
No.
Ms. Jefferson?
No.
Danielle is not here. Mr. Grieco?
No.
And Mr. Pike?
No.
So there are no yes votes, so the rezoning is denied.
The motion did not pass. Director Sheeline, next case.
This case is case PO2-Z-22, petition of Michael and Carol Ann Willis, requesting Kokomo City Plan Commission petition and recommend to the Kokomo Common Council for change in zone classification from R4 medium density urban residential to neighborhood commercial for property described at 422 West Defenball and 1422 South Webster Street. Just so everyone understands, this is the Hog Heaven restaurant. So they're asking, just for clarification, there on the corner where the current restaurant is, obviously that's been a restaurant for several years. For several years, it's been zoned residential. How it stayed that way, we don't know. So when the Willises came in, they've also purchased and correct me if I'm wrong, they've also purchased the church across the street, and they want to do like a banquet room or something there. So they had to rezone that from institutional to the neighborhood commercial. So when we talked to the Willises, we decided the best thing for them to do at this point in time was to also rezone the current restaurant to make it legal. Even though it's a legal non-conforming status, it's technically not zoned legal because of the residential zoning. So we felt like it was in the best interest of everybody to get both of those, the church and the restaurant zoned neighborhood commercial to make it all legal. So, go ahead, sir.
Excuse me. I have a motion, please.
Motion.
Second.
Please go.
Good evening. My name is Mike Wills. My address is 3556 West, 500 South. That's a Kokomo address. That's my residence. My wife Carol and I, we own a Hog Heaven restaurant. And this March will mark our 10-year anniversary at that location. And when we moved in there, the church was still operational. And we partnered with the church to help them along with some of the projects that they were doing. They were feeding the homeless once a week, so we were providing some food for that event. And we helped the church pay for some repairs. We took care of all the utilities there as far as paying for the, well, I shouldn't say utilities. We paid for the mowing the grass and all the snow plowing. We paid for their dumpster there because we didn't have room for a dumpster on our physical small corner there. So we partnered with the church in helping them along as much as we could. Well, the church came to us in financial distress, and they offered the property to us. And we were using the property. We asked them if we could use the parking lot in order to park there, and they were more than glad to allow us to do that because our restaurant wasn't open on Sundays, and Sundays was the only days they were using that parking lot. So they allowed us graciously to use that property in order to help our business out. And in turn, we tried to help them as much as we possibly could. So they gave us first opportunity to purchase that property, and we have done some renovation in that building. And it allowed us to streamline our business We have another property over in Burlington that we were smoking all of our meats there and preparing some food there and bringing it to Kokomo. So we had very little storage space in the small restaurant. So having that building across the street allowed us to have some storage space and allowed us to expand a little bit. And we're asking for a change in the zoning to be more in line with what we would be allowed to do on that property, which is very similar to what the church was using that property for. The church was using it, they were parking there, they were having fellowship there, they were having gatherings there. And since the church has gone out of business, we've acquired that property, and we would like to use that property for a gathering place to do some catering, and basically similar to what the church was using it for. We've already got the building remodeled and got it looking good on the inside. And we as Hog Heaven, we try to do as much help to the community as we possibly can. We do a lot of fundraisers for people, and we provide a lot of meals for different groups, for veterans and so forth. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. I'm just trying to state facts here. But having that building right across the street would be very convenient for us to be able to have gatherings there. Not all of the gatherings there are going to be a profit for us. We do quite a few fundraisers a year where we have to physically rent something from someone else in order to provide a fundraiser for someone. If some people that we know get cancer, well, we rent a building and put on a fundraiser. But being able to have this building that I don't have to take $500 or $800 out of our pocket and provide a place to do a fundraiser for someone is going to be a great benefit to us. The business that we have, we've been able to get through the pandemic as best as we can. You know, we're not struggling, but we're not going to make millionaires out of ourselves in this business. So we're just asking that we be allowed to use that property very similar to what the church was using it for. The difference being the church was a nonprofit and we're a business. And it's going to be beneficial to the community. The community has already lost some small gathering places. Celebrations has gone out of business, and they're now a church, so we've lost that facility. We're losing a huge facility, which is the Kokomo Event Center, which is getting ready to switch over to a furniture store. And Moe's River Room, that place has significantly reduced their facility size, and part of that building now is a comic book store. So we feel it's beneficial that we can offer a facility to the community that's a lot cheaper than anyone else around. It's going to be real convenient for us because it's right across the street from us if they want our catering. And we don't necessarily require, as some places do, if somebody wants to use someone else to cater it or if they want to bring in their own food, we don't care. It doesn't really matter to us. So we're just asking that we be able to use this property, which is more in line with a business aspect. Really nothing's going to change in the neighborhood. We've made some improvements in the neighborhood. We try to make our property look nice. We try to take care of it. And we're proud members of the community, and we try to give back just as much as we possibly can. So we're just asking that we be able to use this facility in a commercial aspect, which means a zoning change, which is similar to what the church has been doing. So thank you.
Any questions from the board before we have staff report?
Just one, as far as the size of gatherings you're gonna have, the parking lot will be adequate for what you're looking at there? I mean, you're setting a cap on your gatherings, I assume, that's not going to impact the neighborhood negatively with extra parking?
The streets around there offer parking also, and depending on the size of the gathering, it could go out into the streets also, but the street does have parking. The facility will hold. We have about 94 chairs in the facility right now, and we don't have room for 94 cars in the parking lot.
Sure.
But there is additional spillover parking available out in the street if we would have larger events there. But I don't think that's going to be a problem. It would be similar to what the church was doing when they had large events there.
Any other questions from the board before we have staff report? Director Sheeline?
Staff report for case PO2-Z-22. Michael and Carol Wills are requesting a change in zone classification for property listed above to be used as a banquet hall with catering. The adjoining property uses are to the north R4 urban residential, to the south R4 urban residential and NC neighborhood commercial, to the east R4 urban residential, and to the west R4 urban residential. According to the City of Kokomo Comprehensive Plan Use Map, this area of South Webster and West Deffinball is classified as being an area for medium-density residential, which is single-family housing of varying types between 3 to 6 dwelling units per acre. Typical medium-density housing would include single-family, detached, duplexes, triplexes, condominiums, townhomes, and cluster housing. For the City of Kokomo, zoning NC neighborhood commercial is an appropriate adjacent district within the area. Land use goals to encourage orderly and responsible development, to promote health, safety, and quality of life of residents of the City of Kokomo while maintaining Kokomo as a leading community for affordable housing. Relevant land use objectives are to encourage adequate land for residential, commercial, industrial, institutional, and recreational uses. Designate specific districts in the community suitable for residential, commercial, industrial, institutional, and recreational uses. The goal of the City of Kokomo Comprehensive Plan Transportation Map is to enhance connections throughout the city for improved safety, function, and efficiency for all modes of transportation, including vehicular, bicycle, and pedestrian networks. According to the transportation map, this area of South Webster and West Deffinball is defined as a local street, which is a street designed to provide access to abutting properties and discourage through traffic. The traffic count for this area of West Deffinball is 2,733 cars per day. That's from the corner of South Washington and West Deffinball. Requested zoning change is compatible with all the existing adjoining districts. Therefore, the staff desires of the board forward a favorable recommendation to the Kokomo Common Council.
Any questions from the board now that we've had staff report? Any questions from the audience?
Greg, real quick, could you confirm, so the church property and the existing businesses are both currently zoned urban residential? Is that correct?
The church property is zoned institutional.
Institutional.
So it'll be rezoned if this passes to neighborhood commercial, as well as the current restaurant, which is now R4, but our hopes is to get that rezoned to neighborhood commercial as well to make everything legal, so to speak.
But because it was commercial prior to being zoned R4, it's legal non-conforming.
So it's
which
still
means
allowed
that-
to operate.
So
correct.
even if this was denied, they would still have an exemption because they were operating as commercial prior to the zoning ordinance coming
That's
into
correct.
effect.
Thank you, sir.
Howdy, my name's Brian Sanders. I live at 1514 South Webster Street, right behind Hog Heaven. I have a wife that's had a stroke. She's got to have either a wheelchair or a walker for assistance. So our main parking is in front of the house. And we've lived at the property for 11 years. Before Hog Heaven moved in, we rent from Jay Morris, who is here. The issues that I have is they've already had a event at the recreation hall or whatever. There was 5 cars that parked in front of the house, and I had to park a half a block down the street to get to my house. During that same time, there was 1 car that parked in the southbound lanes of Webster, which no parking is allowed. That car was there for an hour and a half. Let's see. It would bring, it also brings up, okay, I leave to go get supper or take a quick 5-minute trip to the store. I come back, somebody's parked there. And I've had issues even before the announcement of opening up this as an event. He said that there's capacity for 94 people in there. So there could be a maximum of 94 cars that would be parking in the area. I believe that the parking space in that lot is only maybe 28. Do you know how many cars? Because I'm thinking it's 4 rows of 7. It could be 5 rows, I'm not sure. But still, that's a major off balance of cars to people. Yes, they do good on events outside in the community and stuff, but as far as a neighbor, it gets aggravating. When we had the last tornado come through, 6 years ago or so, we was without power. He brought in a large trailer generator, parked it in between his building and the house. And of course, we had to have the windows open because we hadn't to get air through there. The diesel from the generator come through the house. We had to close up the house, go rent a motel room in Indianapolis. And so, as far as a neighbor, I think it would be a bad idea for the neighborhood because of the extra traffic, parking. It'd be different if they had 100 places to park, but they don't, and it just makes it inconvenient for the rest of us that have to live in the neighborhood. So, thank you.
Any comments from the board? Anyone else in the audience?
I would address the parking. I believe the ordinance, you can correct me if I'm wrong, for a restaurant or, I'm not exactly sure for a banquet hall, but for a restaurant would require 1/3 of the available seating capacity.
Correct.
Which in this case, if the seating capacity is 94, you're looking at roughly 32 parking spaces.
They're close.
Required.
Yeah, they're close.
And they're,
Yes.
I mean, I can't really see it based on this, but if it's 28, they're pretty close to the number.
I zoomed in on Beacon, I counted 35.
Okay. So from an ordinance standpoint, if 94 is the number as far as the seating capacity, then 32 is the required parking, on-site parking that would be required by ordinance, so.
Jay Morris, 330 East, 550 North. Again, I do own the property at 1514 South Webster. And I guess my concern is just that, again, the parking issue is the biggest ordeal. And even, like I said, he's already even admitted that he's going to have overflow that is going to go to the private parking or to the parking along the streets. Deffenbaugh already has the median that's going down the center there. That limits the traffic flow that can go back and forth. Webster is a very busy street going north and south. And again, it's even limited to parking on one side of the road at this point in time. So the overflow that's going to happen from these different events is going to impact the residential area around. And most of that is, like you said, it's already zoned residential. So I think this type of facility would be better suited in more of a commercial atmosphere than inside of the residential atmosphere that's going on there, and the streets as narrow as they are already. Any type of overflow that goes out of that parking lot is causing an issue. Thank you.
Any other questions from the board? Any questions from the audience? We'll call for a vote for the rezoning on case number P02Z22. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion passes. It now goes to the city council, and will be presented there by Councilman Griecu. Again, for your neighbors and stuff, this is going to be heard by city council. I don't know what date. Director Sheehan, do we have anything under other business?
I have no other business tonight, Mr. President, no.
The next thing on the agenda is the approval of claims.
I move to approve the claims in the amount of $24,049.42.
Second?
We have a motion and a second for approval of claims. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion is approved. Director Sheehan, anyone go to county meeting this next Tuesday?
We have 2 cases, I believe.
Any volunteers?
Is that the 16th? I can go.
Who's going,
Misha.
Misha? Okay, thank you, Misha.
Is that at 6?
No, it's actually at 5:30. We changed times. Yes, 5:30 now.
That's all we have on the agenda. I'll hear a motion to adjourn.
Move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you.